Good evening. I am drinking wine. Yeah, it's not really wine. This is actually sparkling elderflower and rose. And yes, as you can see, it is non-alcoholic. Yeah, it's bloody delicious. I also have this yummy bottle of raspberry lemonade, one of my personal favorites. And, like, it's really funny, right? Because years ago when I was like 18, so I used to have an alcohol problem when I was 18, hence why me are sans alcohol. Me is sans alcohol. Whatever, I don't drink alcohol because I used to be an alcoholic. And it's really funny because, right, I'm sitting here with like crisps and chocolate, currently editing this video which is going to be uploaded on Friday called it's a Black AuthorTube collab, and like got my little bundle of snacks here. Got some crisps and some white chocolate. And it's like, I literally used to do this, right? I used to literally get, this is so yummy. I swear to God, this is so, like, if you don't drink alcohol, these are so refreshing. So I used to do this. I used to literally sit in my room and drink alcohol and eat crisps. And it is so lame. Like, it is genuinely a pathetic thing to do. But it's like, what I'm doing now, I'm essentially doing the same thing. I'm drinking. Obviously, this isn't alcohol, but I'm drinking, I'm eating, I'm working. And obviously, the difference is that this isn't alcohol, and my mood and my whole outlook on life is so different. And it's like, I almost wonder if the act of drinking, because the act of drinking alcohol, I wonder if it wasn't even about drinking alcohol, if it's just about drinking something. Because the act of like drinking something, of pouring and drinking this lovely refreshing drink, it is a very refreshing thing to do. And I don't know, like, alcoholism is a very strange thing. I haven't been to an AA meeting since October 2019 because I am almost 4 years sober, and that is way longer than I was drinking. I literally only drank for like a year, well, drank self-destructively for a year. And yeah, I guess I'm just kind of musing on this, especially with the whole tortured alcoholic thing. Like, I noticed that a lot of writers throughout history have been alcoholics or had alcohol problems, from I think F. Scott Fitzgerald to Mr. Stephen King. And I wonder if we sort of romanticize this whole thing about the tortured artist, if we assume that to be an artist means that you have to be like screwed up in the head or whatever, and that part of being an artist, part of being a writer, means that you gotta be a mess. Because I really was kind of living that for a little bit. I was very much, when I was like 18, 19, like sitting in my room. Even my novel Anne, the character of Anne's father is an alcoholic, and he is pretty much a personification of my addiction at the time, to be a bit psychoanalytical. The whole thing about, because alcohol, my relationship with alcohol was very, very toxic, and it was very, very almost abusive, akin to an abusive relationship. And these kind of substances, they really can have that kind of hole in you, like when you're like so drawn into them and you're like, give me booze, and you're just like cannot stop drinking. It is really, really really screws up. So I'm really happy not to be in that place anymore. And I guess also because the romance story that I have just sent to an editor yesterday night, called Marco Polo, is coming out in 2 weeks, and one of the characters, Mark, is actually in Alcoholics Anonymous. The character appears in one of the other romance stories, so I remembered to throw that in because it was mentioned he used to be in AA. In that story, Capture Us, he's in his 3rd year. Okay, now this is definitely too rambly. So yeah, anyway, yeah, I don't know, I want to know, what's your thought on the whole tortured artist, alcoholic writer type thing? I mean, I guess we've all kind of romanticized sitting at our computer, drinking, you know, knocking back the booze and like being really like, yeah, screw this, I'm an artist. And then like Sylvia Plath. And I actually said this to my brother the other day, right? Because I love Sylvia Plath. She's an amazing poet. And when I was really, really struggling, like my depression was like severely bad when I was in my late teens. And I used to think, oh my God, I'm going to end up like Sylvia Plath, like being dead in my 30s. But now, honestly, and I said this to my brother, I want to live till I'm 80. Like, I want to live. You know what I mean? Like, this whole thing about dying young and being a tortured artist, I think it's bullshit. I actually did my university dissertation around it, around the whole, like, thing about addiction and creativity. And I really do think it's a load of bull. I don't think being an artist means that you're more or less susceptible to addiction. I don't think that I was an alcoholic because I'm a writer and a musician. I met so many people in AA who weren't creatives, and I really don't think it has anything to do with it. I think it's just a case whereby some people just become addicted because that's the way it is, and it really does suck. It really does, having an addiction is really horrible. And when I'm out with my friends, sometimes I see them drinking alcohol, and I'm completely at peace with it, but I do feel that envy, that like I wish I could just be chill with it. Like, you see the way I'm drinking this, right? I've barely even, this is just basically a prop, but if this was wine, it would be gone by now. I would literally be calling to me, but this is just like a nice refreshing drink, and that's how it should be. Like, that's how you're supposed to treat alcohol. Is supposed to be something which is enjoyed socially in social situations, or if you're having a glass of wine while, but it's not supposed to be abused. And I do think that with alcoholism, people end up abusing alcohol, or even with any other kind of drug addiction. And it is really hard, and it does take a toll on you, but that can happen to anybody, and you don't have to be like artistic or not for that to happen. So yeah, I really do think that, I want to live long. I want to live long and prosper. I have no intention of being like Sylvia Plath, but it is kind of nice to think of how I remember literally sitting in this room drinking like 5-6 years ago and feeling so shit and writing my stories. Like, I specifically remember working on my novel Anne, which came out in 2019, and working on it and just being really frustrated and drinking. And the same like when I was at York, I went there briefly for university, and even when I was in Guildford, when I was at music school, kind of when I was just getting into AA, and I was still like, there was this one week I think where I had like 3 bottles of wine one day after the other, not in one night, as in bottle, like in a succession of days. And it's just such a rubbish thing to do. Like, it's such a waste of time, you know what I mean? Like, what a waste. So yeah, don't waste time, don't waste your life. Just enjoy the fine things, be they non-alcoholic, alcoholic, chocolate. This chocolate is so yummy, by the way. This is some good chocolate. Enjoy the fine things in life, but I think everything has to be in moderation, you know what I mean? Everything should be in moderation. If you can't do something in moderation, I don't think you should do it, whether it's porn, gambling, cannabis, alcohol. That's my personal belief anyway. Yeah, it is very hard though. Let me know if you drink, what your relationship with alcohol is, and if you think that the whole myth of the tortured artist thing is a myth, or if you do think there's some truth to it. I guess you can say that because artists are naturally very sensitive, we are going to be more in our heads and maybe more emotionally, I don't know, like more emotionally in tune with things. So we are going to feel things in a much deeper level. But I also do think though that can apply to anyone. I mean, maybe it does apply more to artists in a sense, but I don't know. I think that kind of thinking is quite dangerous, and it's important to remember that, yeah, while a lot of us may go through things like depression, anxiety, alcoholism, or all of the above, that we should still find a way to just, enjoy life and be at peace with things, and remember that everyone is struggling and everybody is dealing with their own thing, and being an artist doesn't mean that you have to be in constant pain, you know what I mean? Because at the end of the day, we've got to remember what we're doing is fun. We're having a good time. We're doing something that makes us happy and brings us a sense of fulfillment.